Today is 15th of February, Thursday, not that it matters, 15th of February 2018. That would be the 18th of Deutholus, 2018, and first year of the first period of the 8th age of mankind. I mentioned in the most recent Verlautbarungs emails that their entire crap about tinsel as with military decorations and IMDb being utilized by having all kinds of people allotted to the actors and actors allotted to them, trying to declare quintessentially soldiers, whether or not they would meet my criteria for that is not the issue here, but having quintessentially people in uniform being thus reverse direction declared mere actors, in the sense of you're not really a soldier, you're just acting a soldier, right? That is the other way. What is, Rocky, the Rocky series, this only seems off topic, I assure you, this only seems off topic. This pertains to all the crap about how they hand puppeteered actors. Rocky. It occurred to me yesterday, thinking this through, who might have done who, it occurred to me, and this is not something that occurred to me as a possibility, this is a fact, it's a fact exact. Charles Windsor actually was Stallone in the Rocky movies. I say it again, Charles actually was Stallone in the Rocky movies. We've established how Charles, he probably, after having done Luke Skywalker in the original Star Wars movie, he probably thought, where next do I go with my thespian awesomeness? And he decided to do Rocky. Here it's getting interesting. Because there were databases. Because all of this is contrary to your fucking delusions, not magic that somebody works, or nor mechanisms of the universe. Oh no. That is actual information technology. Even back when, it was actual communications technology and so on and so forth, and you had inhumane technologies that would broadcast the shit and pick up the shit and so on and so forth. They had in the back a big database, then already, decades before there was IMDb, because some fuckers with their blinkers on will say, well, but IMDb has only been around for, maybe 10 years, maybe 12 years, 15 max, the internet is not, no, this goes way back. You don't need the internet to have a database. See, I'm gonna cut this short at the front end, and I'm gonna keep it to only a particular time and not continue this to the present end. So there was a situation where for Sylvester Stallone it said, buddy, fuck, Charles Windsor. And then someone on America, whether or not knowingly and deliberately, and not one of the good mindfuckers, because there are no good mindfuckers, but not even one of those who think they are the good mindfuckers were, because anyone who might have thought so has long since been done away, not even one of those. So either they had no idea that Charles already had been attributed to, that Charles had, was that hand in the sock puppet Sylvester Stallone, either they didn't know, or they knew and deliberately tried to, so to speak, overwrite in their database that it was somebody else. Let's call that somebody else, and this is a fictive name, Joe Smith, okay, just to have some name, Joe Smith, because it might have been, what with the bitches, it might have actually been a Jane Smith. But let's say it was Joe Smith. Now, what may have very, 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 very likely happened is that by that attempt, but Charles still trying to work Sylvester Stallone, and in fact in Sylvester Stallone's career you have nothing but movies where if you interpret this in a Charlesy way, things make shocking sense, and you really wonder about certain things, like him marrying a Swedish woman for a little while, You know, that might give you some information on what freakazoids Charles contributed to, and so on and so forth. But let's not go into that, because that's really almost off topic in this context. Some motherfucker, Joe Smith, trying to do the Sylvester Stallone instead. Now, with Charles being there, and what with you fucking idiots of Fix Mundi having always been completely incompetent and outright, what do we care about any Frankensteining effects of your different technologies trying to work different things and different effects and so on. The result would have been that Joe Smith, namely especially if he didn't know about Charles being there, well, you know what, I'm feeling a little odd. I'm feeling like, and he wouldn't have used that word, but I'm feeling a little Charlesy today. Okay, that is what, would you stop shoving shit into the fields? No, those are not questions. You are shoving shit into the fields, shooting down what I mean to say, suggesting to the immediate re-extraction thereof that allegedly that is what I'm thinking but not saying. Thank you. So Joe Smith would have felt all Charlesy. Namely, to such an extent, you know, because Charles knows for a fact that he has absolutely no claim to any throne whatsoever. I mean, not even back in the olden days, mind you, okay? You know, I mean, way back, he knew that. He knew that he was a double bastard. The very fact that he made Star Wars is fact that he knew he was a double bastard. And, in fact, not just a royal bastard, he was a Trochess bastard, okay? He knew that. But still, Charles was like, it ought to be that differently. I ought to be the ruler of everything. But with an Albion-centered thing. Now, Joe Smith comes along, having absolutely maybe no fucking idea of that, and thinking all he's doing is happily working Sly Stallone, and all the while, namely, not by deliberation of Charles, oh no, but this whole Charlesness fucks Joe Smith. And you have American Fix Mundi, who then developed the crazy notion that, well, I'm feeling very ruler of Britain today. Oh, it must be, have I been reborn as some King Arthur or something? You know, or whatever crap, and to feed those idiots, the Fix Mundi keep them entertained and delusional industry around the Fix Mundi fuckers started to come up with shit like this whole Wyatt Get delusion. Okay, Wyatt Get delusion. Yeah, I talked about this quite a while ago. So what I mean to explain in this video is I know, other than the fucking outbound who happily is allowed to completely and ridiculously mess around with the extraction protocol, no one actually, and they probably don't even much read it anymore these days because they feel it might go into the zero dimensional, where it is anyhow, because it's truth. But what I'm trying to convey in this video is, Charles, first of all, please take note, when it comes to this entire Wyatt Get delusion, when it comes to them fucking odd Americans who think that they actually descend from blah and came up with a backstory, a narrative that would explain some Joe Smith fucker mistaking himself for the, I don't know what to be, look at that. Okay? That is your Charlesness, Charles, on the Joe Smith fucker. Just as the Joe Smith fucker didn't fucking understand it. And he insisted that his staff did research into outcomes because clearly he swears he feels like that. So they gave him the backstory and just, you know, made shit up and this whole Wyatt Get crap. Charles, what with them keeping the extraction protocol from you, in all of this, amongst many other things that you should draw as of conclusions, in all of this, Charles, note how I am not involved. Do you know that? There was Sly, there was you, and there was some other hand trying to squeeze into Sly, which was the Joe Smith fucker. Maybe there were several Joe Smith fuckers, as I said, or the occasional Jane Smith, or whatever. Me is not involved in this, Charles. Oh, and Apollo Creed. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, there's your Arnold. But of course, in Predator, Charles, there's Arnold in it, which means that he ain't, because there's Carl Weathers in the Predator fucker, unlike in Rocky. It's, Charles, you know, really, I don't really care. You see, part of your uppity madness, Charles, is that you think people like me give a rat's ass about you. I have never in my entire life given a rat's ass about ridiculous shit like you. And even if you were someone with a historically legitimate claim to whatever, and be it your own fucking chair in the living room, I still wouldn't give a rat's ass, Charles. People like me never gave a rat's ass. And even you, no matter how fucked up your brain with obscenity and with long-time damage due to the liquid nicotine that you continue to use, even you ought to still be able to have that little thing. The truth of me saying that I don't give a rat's ass about you, Charles, be able to get that pink that's true from the universe. You can do that, Charles. But I want people to understand that a whole lot of the rebirth delusion crap also has roots in your happily taken over puppeteering style actors in the entertainment industry that previously had been or already had been attributed to other people who never were taken away from them, and you just caught the stench of Charles. So Joe Smith caught the stench of Charles in Sly's ass, so to speak. Can you follow me? Can you follow me on fucking Albion, and Charles, and your fuckers? How I am not responsible for any fucking Americans who delude that they are rulers of a Britain or descendants of the true rulers of a Britain or whatever else? And do you understand in America how you're blithering idiots? Do you get that? And do you moreover understand that I have nothing to do with that? Do you understand that? A wee little example in the case of Sly Stallone and in the case of Charles of Windsor and whatever fucking other American fixmundi who worked on Sly and caught Charles' stench. It's getting even more interesting because you might ask yourself, well, okay, so if Joe Smith maybe had no fucking idea about catching the stench of Charles, maybe were there any other fixmundi who worked on Joe Smith to give him the idea, hey, what about this Sylvester Stallone? Now he has been in a movie or two now, when Rocky, when Rambo. Maybe there's an interesting actor for you to play Mr. Joe Smith, Mrs. Jane Smith, because apparently the audience seems to like him, and so on and so forth, right? You should ask yourself, Joe Smith clearly had no fucking idea, but the people who were puppeteering the Joe Smith, because you fucking fixmundi all puppeteer one another. You never puppeteered me, you never will puppeteer me. And the truth is, in particular ways, very different from my situation, but in particular ways, you're not doing anywhere near as much puppeteering of the mass population as you still seem to delude to be doing, namely as in effectiveness and so on and so forth. But this is a nice example of just how fixmundi whole, the different interest groups, oftentimes don't give a rat's ass about side effects, Oh, I'm Joe Smith, I don't even care about side effects. That Joe Windsor, the monkey bud, I need to care a lot about side effects. You happily don't care about side effects, and you're happily 2 hands, 3 hands, 4 hands up Sly Stallone's mind's ass, and you're catching one another's stench. Cause Charles, not just Charlie Barley, BonnyFF, not just did Joe Smith catch your kind of stench, but who knows what stench you caught of Joe Smith or Jane Smith? And at this point, I want to remind you, screen went black, screensaver, sorry. And at this point, I want to remind you, not just Charles, not just all the fuckers in Albion, but also, especially, namely, all the fuckers in North America, how this entire, La Meta military, and, because really, this is if you have military already associated to something else in a analogous fashion, say, the world of business/finance, and you were connected to the entertainment industry, what you can really do, I'm not sure if you catch this, right? What it can really do is you can just switch this one here around, and all of a sudden you connect the entertainment industry, have it connected to the world of finance, money, right? You have no fucking idea what you're doing. You have no fucking idea that there's several of you bestension, there's a new word for your dictionaries, bestension one another, you all being too fucking stupid to understand what's going on, you all being so fucking delusional that you think that, other souls from the ether, or from the parallel worlds, reborn, want to come into me, Charles, let's see, where does Stallone live today? I guess he still lives in California, doesn't he? So if Pacifica, as the nation in which California lies, on the western coast of the North American continent, if Pacifica makes it by June 19th, and is not being annihilated, and Sly should still be alive, I assure you, Charles, I will get Sylvester Stallone to come attend our little Grand National Albion piss-taking. And there will be Sylvester Stallone peeing into that pool in which you, Charles, shall be drowned. And to all the American fuckers I say, no, you are not descendants of British kings. You are not. You caught the stench of Charles, and probably a whole lot of other nobility fuckers, not just from Albion, please. All the fucking Habsburg fuckers, all the fucking Spanish fuckers, all of them. You are too stupid to understand that you catch one another's stench and then not correctly analyze that, but think instead nothing but delusions. I mean, go poof the entire associated with actors and the entire acting merits and how many movies have you been in and how many Oscars were you nominated and so on and so forth, with military merit, the whole secret maneuvers in a military context that were being worked, and so that if people catch the truth, we can distract them to say, oh, they're talking about the Heimlich maneuver, or the Heimlich maneuver. No, we're not having secret maneuvers, no. Oh, they must be talking about the Heimlich maneuver. Oh, how funny. You are... See, you don't understand. There's few things that make me scream inside. One of them is that I would love, like few other things, would I love making you able to at all grasp my complete and utter grasping of your unspeakable idiocy. Maybe I put this too complicated. You are stupid fucks. I know the sheer extent of your stupid fuckerness, and I would love to make you yourself see what stupid fucks you are, but there's limits to that. And I know that the truth is your brains are so fucking defect and whatnot, and idiotic, and insane, and absent, and all the whole thing, that you will never ever get the full picture of your uselessness, insanity, stupidity. I mean, Charles is the stupidest sentient in the universe, let us not forget that. But really, it's not just Charles. All of you. Because Joe Smith, while not the stupidest sentients of the universe, but then, I do want to remind people that not too long ago, there was somebody who actually actively tried to snatch that title away from Charles, Maybe that was one of the Joe Smiths that had their hand up Sly's mind's ass in a sock puppet fashion. Who knows? But before I go here by clicking the stop button, I don't actually go for another hour and a half to the next stupid unemployment office course that I have here. But before I go, I want to talk on one last thing, namely Marlon. Back in 2013, Marlon was the guy who sicked the fucking German bunch of idiots at me. And see, even back then, I've explained that the guy who really was Marlon has died since then. I've explained that. Marlon is dead. Marlon is dead. I don't mean Marlon Brando is dead, because Marlon Brando is dead, of course, and has been dead for quite a while, and already by 2013. But what I mean to say here is the guy who in the past, when Marlon Brando still was alive, so you look it up in your old which actor is who kind of documents and databases. If you want to know about who was Marlon, namely the Marlon that came to torture me, the Marlon that did Marlon's knot, the Marlon that sat on my chest, so to speak, to suffocate me, that Marlon, I talked a lot about Marlon in the past. You just look it up in your old databases. Who associated himself in that kind of fashion, you know, like Charles and Sly Stallone, who associated himself with Marlon Brando. And there you have your Marlon. Okay? If anybody out there at this point amongst Fix Mundi still cares who was this Marlon guy that tortured the prime protector of mankind and that sicked the useless idiot German bunch at him, it was that fucker who had, prior to that, associated himself with Marlon Brando. And back then, he probably insisted, well, you know, I didn't come as Marlon Brando, which is most probably correct. You know, as in, they did not try to work, you know, settings and whatnot in, I still had the scenario, mind you, back then. They did not actually give any instructions into the scenarios that I should have the feeling as if Marlon Brando were to sit on my chest. But they don't understand the working. And they did not understand that they were wrongly connecting, and I caught a whole lot of their shit independent of what they were actually trying to do. I caught them actually with their useless, pathetic little shit brains concentrating very hard on working the the columns, and that is how I actually understood how the columns work. I mean, I understood quite a bit more about the columns once I come into understanding that there are such things as columns. But once you understand that and have an intelligent brain, you can work them very easily. That fucker didn't come deliberately as Marlon, but that fucker had the Marlon Brando association in the background, and I just couldn't help note it. And because that fucker was some nobody fix Mundi, and Marlon Brando was Marlon Brando, to me, a sane human, noticing that association, I thought they were trying to be funny and, you know, and try to work on me as if someone pretending to be Marlon Brando was sitting on my chest. So if you say no one ever went to torture him in the guise of Marlon Brando, true. But that fucker, right then, that I always refer to as, since then, as Marlon, that fucker was that fucker who, in your little let's associate with the movie stars, goes back to having been Marlon Brando. Now that fucker is dead, okay? Understand this right, that fucker is dead. But still, it might be very interesting to find out which IG that fucker was from. Because even though he's dead, that won't stop you from just looking it up in your old databases on the who do you associate with which actor, and we'll go back to when Marlon was still alive, the original Marlon Brando was still alive, and then who pretended to be Marlon. And there you have your fucker. And even though that fucker is dead by now, you should be able to find out about his identity and thus about, you know, chronologically, who it was, which IG it was, because he was American, once more. He was American and he was a semi-lurchy. Out of which IG did that fucker come? Who eventually sicked the German bunch at me? might be of some interest to some of you. Maybe, who knows, maybe even to Charles on fucking Albie.